Good afternoon. The Senzo Meyiwa Murder Trial has been postponed until the 14th of November. Earlier, the court heard Tumelo Madlala's testimony where he said that he could not tell whether the former Bafana Bafana goalkeeper was alive or dead when he was put in the car after being shot. Madlala testified that Meyiwa was very heavy when they lifted him and they received assistance from some of the neighbours. The defence for 4 of the 5 accused has suggested that Meyiwa was already dead when he was rushed to hospital. He was shot and killed in 2014 during an alleged robbery while visiting the home of the mother of his then-girlfriend, Kelly Kumalo. SABC News reporter Chriselda Lewis is standing by for us. A very good afternoon to you, Chriselda. What happened in court today?
Well, Nzinga, as you correctly point out, we're back at this court again on the 14th of November. That court sitting will run until the 2nd of December. That had been the initial dates that we were told about after court was due to be postponed in any eventuality today. But we also heard this morning that Advocate Zandile Mshololo, who represents accused number 5, was not feeling too well. She has had to go and see a doctor, but that's not the reason why the matter was postponed today. We knew or had got some indication from the court that today would have been the last sitting anyway, and we were due to return on the 14th of November. And as you pointed out, yes, Tumelo Madlala, who is the state's third witness, the first person inside the house to testify in this matter, was in the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed, basically telling this court that he's unable to say whether Senzo Meyiwa was alive or dead at the time that he was put in the car. As you correctly point out, that he did describe Meyiwa as being heavy. When they tried to put him in the car, they had to fold his legs. They rushed him to the hospital. He was also given a blue face cloth to be able to I beg your pardon, I thought that was actually Titi Tabane, who was representing accused number 1 to 4, who was coming out here behind me. But Nzinga, just to continue there, you'd recall that Madlala had basically told this court that he was given a face cloth to put over the wound that Meyiwa had sustained during that shooting. And he also detailed basically, how he had discovered, this is over the past couple of days, discovered, that Meyiwa had passed on. A nurse at the hospital had come to confirm the news to them. He'd gone to see his friend, kissed him and spoke to him and asked him, why he would bring him to Johannesburg to come and witness this. That was his way of saying goodbye. But today in court, him saying that he didn't know whether Senzo Meyiwa was alive or dead at the time that they were rushing him to the hospital as well. Also under cross-examination, continuing Titi Tabane for accused number 1 to 4, asking him whether he saw any blood on the floor in the kitchen. He asked him which door was used to take Meyiwa out of the house into the car, and he said the kitchen. But then he asked why it seemed there was no blood inside the kitchen. Titi Tabane, just a word. How do you feel about proceedings? I know we can't get into the merits of the case right now. You're still cross-examining, Madlala. You're contending that those that were inside the house had shot and killed Senzo Meyiwa.
Yeah, I'm still busy with cross-examination. I think I'll finish by the end of the year to cross-examine him. And we are ready for bail application for next week, Thursday, with regard to accused number 2. I don't want to go into the merits or what transpired in court. The only thing I can say is that accused number 2 deserves to make bail application because he doesn't have previous conviction, he doesn't have warrant of arrest. He was arrested at his workplace, and the police, they know where he comes from in KZN. The public must know that bail application is an application. It is the court that will make a decision. We only submit an application and the court make a decision. Doesn't mean when you make an application, you'll be automatically granted bail. Court will make a decision based on the facts before it.
What bearing do you think these latest developments might have on that application of Bongani Ntanzi, given the fact that, Madlala pointed him inside court and said he was the person that Senzo Meyiwa had pinned against, against the wall? When you announced that this bail application was going ahead, that had not yet happened. What bearing do you think this would have on his prospects for bail?
As I said, I don't want to go into the merits, and I think you were in court, you heard the arguments over that, and even this one, I won't go into it. I will argue it before the court. Thank you very much.
Titi Tobane, thank you very much indeed. Wrapping up proceedings for the day. He is still cross-examining the witness, Tumelo Madlala. And Madlala, of course, will continue to be under cross-examination by Titi Tobane when we return on the 14th of November. And Zinga, as he pointed out, accused number 2, Bongani Ntanzi, who you'd recall, was pointed out by Madlala as the person that Senzo Meyiwa had pinned against the wall. That bail application will be heard on Thursday next week. What that latest development would have on the bearing of his chances of a bail application will certainly remain to be seen inside this court. But of course, Madlala also, again, talking about the fact that he was paid by Netflix to participate in that documentary, you would recall, on Senzo Meyiwa, that had run just days before the trial had started. And, when he was asked about exactly how much he was paid, the state objected to that and said, there was no cause for that. The judge also said, by mere virtue of the fact that yesterday he answered questions and also said that Netflix had asked him for private photographs, not the ones where Senzo Meyiwa, would be playing soccer, or the professional photographs, but photographs I guess would be of a more personal nature of Senzo Meyiwa. He says that is what that also paid for. We didn't yet get to exactly how much had been paid for, but certainly also suggestions from Titi Tobane again that the scene had been cleaned, because remember when he asked Madlala which door had been used to take Senzo Meyiwa out of the house, he said the kitchen door. But when they spoke about why no blood had been found there, and he'd spoken about seeing some blood at the place where Senzo Meyiwa was found, that was between the couch as well as Advocate George Boloy, I know you will not speak to us. Just streaming past me then, Singer, taking my chances. There he is, in fact, saying, waving, no chances, of course, that Advocate George Boloy, who is the state prosecutor, will speak to us in this. And the state, of course, would maintain that they're hoping for a successful prosecution in this particular matter, this docket 636, which is currently before court. But to get to the point I was mentioning then, Zinga, is that Madlala was asked about why he believed there was no blood that was found in the kitchen, or if they'd taken Senzo Meyiwa out of the kitchen door, because, one would have it that if he was taken out, there would be some blood on the floor on the basis that he had been bleeding. This, of course, was the testimony in chief of Madlala when he said that he had been given a cloth to cover the wound that Meyiwa had sustained during that gunshot. So him basically saying that, he did not see blood on the kitchen floor, and we're expecting a lot more of that to come under scrutiny as well once Titi Tobane concludes or finishes his testimony when we return to this court, and Advocate Zandile Mshololo then to begin her cross-examination of Madlala. Just speaking to the family of Senzo Meyiwa, disappointed that there's going to be such, a long postponement in this particular matter. Them concerned, of course, about the constant travelling that they have to do. But this is the very first time in Zinga that they get to hear of the possibility of what happened to their loved one inside Gladness Khumalo's home on that day. But it's been a very draining period for them, listening to all of this testimony. And since the beginning, you recall the start of this trial, we heard testimony from police officers which give a clear indication or question the manner in which police had handled themselves at this crime scene, which will also be a critical part at any given point when this court makes any finding about the first responders and how they handled the crime scene, where we also heard critical, argument or testimony about the fact that police did not take swabs from any of the people inside the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. So you have no indication. The defense has been advancing, as we heard Titi Tobane saying, in fact, one of the people that was in the house at the time that Senzo Meyiwa was killed had pulled the trigger. And a bone of contention certainly will be on that, is that we now know that those first responders or police officers who first arrived at the scene did not take swabs of any of the people inside the house at that time.